Hi everyone, and welcome to my May wrap up. Oh my goodness, this month went by so fast. And as usual, about halfway through the month, I'm like panicking because I've started all these books and I haven't finished any of them. And then in like the last week of the month, I just like finish everything all at once. So I did end up reading, I believe it's 12 books, but I DNF'd one. So I read 11 and DNF'd one book. It was a really good reading month because besides the book I DNF'd, which I don't rate those books, I gave everything a 3.5 or higher, which is really fun. That doesn't always happen. I'm generally a more forgiving reviewer. If you've been around for a while, you know, like I rarely dislike a book because I usually DNF it before it gets to that point because I don't see the point in finishing a book that's not meant for me and then giving it a bad rating. So unless the book has something really bad in it that I need to warn people about, I don't do that. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm so excited. I have a lot to say about some of these, so we'll see where we go. So first, the book that I DNF'd this month is Contagion by Terry. This was an e-arc I got. I just did not connect with this story. This is about a girl named Callie who wakes up in this research facility and no one seems to be able to see her, but she's being like kept in a cage and it's really weird and you don't know why she's there. And then we also have Kai and Shay, and Shay saw Callie the last day anyone has seen her because she's been missing for this whole year, and she somehow comes across like a newspaper clipping or something. I don't even remember, you know, that's why I didn't rate this book because whatever. And she contacts Kai, who's the older brother of Callie, and he's been looking for his sister all this time. And they are trying to work together to find her. And meanwhile, Callie's going through what's happening to her at this facility that she's in. So we don't know how she got there or what the purpose is. I just did not connect with the characters. Also, part of it is like arcs have to be really good for me to like commit to them because I have my Kindle. My Kindle's very useful for travel, but when I have all these beautiful like hard like physical books to read, it's really hard for me to stay committed to a Kindle book. So arcs have like a steep row to hoe with me because I really need to be into it. I just did not connect with characters, ended up DNFing it. It just wasn't for me. This is like a sci-fi mystery, maybe not even sci-fi, like I don't even know how to describe it because I think there's a little bit of science fiction in there, but it's not like spaceships and stuff science fiction. It's like real life sci-fi. So we're gonna move on from that one because I have a lot of other stuff. Next, I had another arc. This one was called Breaking the Plan by Jessica Kala. I gave this a 3.5, and the main reason for this is because it has kind of a cheating trope in it, and I'm not a fan. This is set up where the main character, sorry, let me find my notes on this because I don't even remember his name actually, because I read this like the first day of the month. Nope, I don't even have his name written down. But he had his whole life planned out. He was planning to like marry his girlfriend. They're in college. This is a new adult romance. And she ends up wanting a break from him. And so she breaks up with him and goes on a trip in Europe. And he begs her roommate to help him learn where he was going wrong with her, like how he could be a better boyfriend and like win her back. Well, they end up kind of getting together. And so it's not really a cheating trope in that regards, but later on it is. And I know that's a spoiler. Anyway, that's why it's a 3.5. The sexy scenes were really sexy. He was a really good support system for this girl. She comes across as a really stupid, vapid girl. She's a beauty queen, but she's really in the beauty queen life because she needs scholarships to be able to go to school for what she wants to go for. And so you really get to see the other side of that, of like, those people don't fit in the box you want them to. And so it was really fun, but I just had that hinky feeling at the end because they're not honest with the girl who goes to Paris when she comes back about things. So I just had a problem with that. But anyway, it was pretty good. Next up, we have The Smoke Thieves, which I did a dedicated review for, and I believe I gave it like a 3.5. I've bumped this up to like a 3.75 in my mind because I had such a great time reading it. You can watch his full review here. I'll link it up in the card. It was just for me that there was characters I didn't like very much, and there was too much from their point of view for me. And so that really kind of drug it down. But this story is, it focuses on 5 different people. You really got to watch the review because I don't have the time in this to go into it. But it focuses on 5 different young adults, and I really cared more about 3 of them, and the other 2, which had significant parts of the book, really bogged it down for me until about the last 100 pages when some things are culminating. But the second book of this comes out in August, and I'm really excited for it because the way this ended was great. I just had to knock it down because of all that beginning part didn't work. But there's a strong-ass character in here. This has great LGBTQ. There's male-male romance in here, and it's pretty cute. And yeah, and there's all ages of young adult. Like the youngest one is 13 and the oldest one is 19. And this is a pretty, like, it's kind of crude, as in, like, I don't know. To me, it feels like the older end, but also because of the ages, I don't know. So I would call this, like, older age almost fitting into new adult, but just not for, like, sex-wise, but just for, like, content-wise. It's a very brutal book, very intense, but I did love it. It's just sad that it's 3.75 because of those situations, like I shared, but I really loved it. I want to read the next one, and other people, maybe you will like those characters more than me, and then this will be much higher for you. So I just want to be honest about where it fit for me, but I think you might like it more. Then I listened to Chase Darkness with Me, how to use, this is by Billy Jensen, who helped finish I'll Be Gone in the Dark when Michelle McNamara's untimely death. That's about the Golden State Killer. This is about Billy Jensen and how he uses social media and Facebook campaigns to try to catch criminals. It's very interesting. Billy Jensen reads it himself. It is currently only available on Audible, but a book version is coming out in September, I believe. But yeah, he reads it. It's really great. It walks through, you know, how he met Michelle, the cases he was working on, what it was like when they found out about who the Golden State Killer was, and just like things he's working through. So it's very interesting. I don't read a ton of nonfiction. The things I do are usually like crime related like this. But this was really great if you're into true crime, specifically if you're into the Golden State Killer and Billy Jensen, you should watch it. Billy Jensen also has a podcast with Paul Holes, who is one of the investigators who helped to find the Golden State Killer, and I love it. It comes out every Mondays. It's called Murder Squad, and I love it. So that was a 4 for me. Yeah, we're already into 4s, and there's a lot of them. So next up, we have The Great Hunt, which I finished like the last day of last month, and I think I mentioned it in that wrap-up that I like was really close to finishing it, but I gave this a 4-star. This is the second book in the Wheel of Time. It was really great. I got a lot more from the characters. The thing is these books are huge, but there's not like tons of things that are actually happening timeline-wise. There's a few more time jumps in this one. If you haven't heard of this, it's one of the most famous fantasy series ever besides, like, you know, Tolkien. It's amazing. And I'm really excited to get further into the series. I just don't know when. I'm going to try to read the 3rd one in June because that's when my friend Murphy's reading it, but I just don't know if I can because I have a lot to read. But it was really great. I'm definitely continuing the series. This was just a 4 for me because, again, I don't love all the characters yet. I'm not there. And I just also know that there's so much more places for this series to go that I'm not ready to like pop any 5 stars out yet or anything. But I definitely read this one faster than I read the first one, and I'm excited to keep going. Next, I have Captivated by Tessa Bailey and Eve Dangerfield. So I picked up this book. I would consider this, it's new adult going into adult romance. I don't know, probably more adult. You know, the cover's super sexy. But I picked this up because I love Tessa Bailey's Fix Her Up. I was able to read an arc for that. That book comes out the beginning of July. And I wanted to read more by Tessa Bailey, and I found this one, and I wanted to buy some self-published books from Amazon. They had a sale on some of them, and so I picked up this one. This is about a girl named Autumn, who she is a vet, but she secretly wants to be a stand-up comedian. And the boyfriend she had at the beginning of the novel, she's just broken up with him, and he's kind of like, he does like stand-up and like improv, and he always had to be the funny one, and now she's apart from him and she wants to secretly do that. She has a run-in with her landlord, who she calls the landlord, and she actually wrote some smutty cartoons about the two of them, and she used his likeness in her cartoons. And when she's filling out something for him, she accidentally gives him paper with her dirty cartoon on the back, and that kind of excites him a little, and they start this 3-date challenge basically, where they will fulfill each other's fantasies and then move along. And of course, because it's romance, they're gonna get caught into more. This was a 4-star for me. It was really sexy. She has some interesting fantasies that her boyfriend wouldn't do for her, that the landlord will. And it was sexy and amazing. So, whew, that was a thing. Ours, we have Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. The first of 2 Sandersons that I read. Well, I started this one last month, and I finished it this month. I was listening to it on audio, and then when it was dragging for me, because I wasn't connecting with the reader of the audio, right? But I knew I didn't want to give up, because a lot of people love this book. There's some people that don't rate a Sanderson below a 4, you know, and it was a 4 for me when things really kicked in. Like, there was a lot of world building and a lot of time doing things, and I just wasn't interested in that. I was interested in the characters and the situation. So this is about 2 princesses. The older princess, she's supposed to marry the God King, but her father loves her more than his other daughters. He just does. So he tricks the God King and sends his youngest daughter, because it said that one of their daughters had to marry him in 20 years, and he sends the younger daughter instead of the older daughter, and her job is to produce an heir for the God King, and that's what she's supposed to do. But things don't exactly go that way. And then the oldest sister, Vivenna, the younger sister, Suri, the older sister, Vivenna, is so mad that her father did this that she takes off to try to save her sister, because she believes the God King and the gods are evil, and she wants to save her sister. And we get the perspective of Suri, Vivenna, and then someone named Lightsong, who is one of the gods. And all these gods, they're very interesting because they're the returned. Like, they're all people that died and then they came back, so they're called the returned. And they live off of this magic that's called breath. And so every person has a breath. And when you get breath on top of breath on top of breath stacked up in you, you have these different powers. So the people who've given up their breath to gods, they're called like the dulled, or like the whatever, and they're drabs. They're called drabs. And then the gods, they like have all these powers. And so there's a couple of the gods that we get to spend time with, and they're really quirky and really fun. And the gods' whole purpose is that one day they will give up their breath to heal someone, and then they'll die a second time. So they're treated as gods. They are kept alive with people's breaths. They are holy, but really the only thing that makes them magical is one day they'll save someone. So every day they have to listen to petitions from people who want them to sacrifice their lives for them. And so some gods do it right away, and then they're not like immortal. They won't stay around. And some of them wait years and years to give it up, because they're either too selfish to give it up, or they haven't found someone worthy enough of it. That was a lot of information, but this book, I'd heard so many people talk about it and not heard enough information, so I just wanted to give you a little bit. But yeah, the characters were great. There's so many twists near the end of this. Oh, there's also a character named Vasher, who I won't tell you anything about, just that he is my type. I have a type in fantasy novels, and he's my type. There is also a talking sword called Nightblood, who, like, that's him right there, who, he wants people to use him. He wants to kill evil people, and it's so great. I love inanimate objects that can talk. It's really happy to me. So anyway, this was a 4-star just because it dragged, but it was fun, and I'm sure a lot of people like it. This is currently a standalone, but I know that he said someday there may be another, and there definitely is room for another. Like, the ending of this, I was like, what? There's not another one? Oh my gosh. Guys, I'm talking too long. Okay, so I just have a few books left to go through, but I have wanted to ask, do you guys like these as a long video, or do you like two? Because I know a lot of my fellow YouTubers, they do two. I like to do them all in one because I like sitting down to watch basically like a TV episode. You know, it's like a 40-minute video of people talking about their books, but just let me know what you think because I totally understand. Next, I want to show up. This one for me, it's like a 4.25. Like I can't, because I don't feel the same about it as I feel about the 4.5s I'm about to share, but it's not the same level with the 4s either. And that for me is Aurora Rising, which I actually just finished. Like I waited to film this until I finished it because I wanted to put in this wrap up and I only had like 100 pages left. So this is actually my copy that I got. I took a picture with Christoph and put it in here. And this is my signed copy from him. And I got it when I went to Utah last week. It was really great. I loved it so much. This is so good. This book has 7 characters, which I actually have cute bookmarks for. And they make up Squad 312 and of Aurora Academy. And the way this starts off is our squad leader, who I have a picture of. See, I'll show you. His name is Tyler. He is the top of his class. He is the alpha, and he's the squad leader. And by being the top of his class, it means he's supposed to get the first pick of his team. Like, he gets to pick the best person in each category, and he's going to build this great team. Well, the day before he's supposed to get to pick, he is doing flight simulations and taking out flyers to like practice because he's a goody two-shoes. It's okay. And he hears a distress signal from this ship. And it shows that there's one person alive on this ship. And when he gets to that ship, he finds Aurora O'Malley, who's also on the front cover. And she has been in cryosleep for 220 years. And everyone else on her ship, their stuff malfunctioned and they died, but hers is still working. So he saves her life, but in doing so, he misses the draft. So he gets left with the dregs instead of the top tier. But he has his twin sister, Scarlett, who she picked to be on his team, and their best friend, Kat, who's been their friends their whole life. But then he also gets Cal, who is from a race that used to be an enemy race of their people, but now they're trying to get along. So he's a hot space elf is what he's described as, and he's that like dark broody one we don't know. We get Finn, who's the gearhead who works on the ship. He's the mechanical guy. He's of a different species called the Darien, I think. And he's super smart ass. He wears this suit that helps his body work because he has a problem with his muscles. So he has this exo suit that like does the heavy lifting for his body. He's really cool. We have Zilla, who is the brain. She's the computer whiz. Not the computer whiz, the scientist who will like work on their missions. It's kind of like putting together a Star Trek team. You need someone and everything. She's really socially awkward and has issues with it. And then I think that's everybody. So that's our team that we have. Some of them were top tier, like Kat and Scarlett were, and then other people, they either didn't work well with others or nobody wanted them on their team. And Aurora isn't supposed to be alive, and there are some interesting things about her that lead our story along. I've heard a lot of love and hate for this story, lots of love, as well as I've seen some rant reviews for it lately, and I don't know. I will say that it was hard to read this book at the same time as I'm about to show you this other book, that they were very alike in certain ways. And so I kept confusing them. So I had to like put this aside and finish the other book and then do this one. But I love the team. It is a mashup. There's so many nerdy references. There's Princess Bride references. There's Breakfast Club references. There are Star Wars references, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings. Ari calls him Legolas, and he doesn't know who that is. And it's really funny. Like, it makes me laugh so hard because he's like, who's Legolas? No, my name is Cal, and it's great. And I just had a great time with them. The ending was explosive, which is what I've been seeing everywhere. Like, I followed Jay Kristoff, and he just kept doing screenshots of people, like, weeping when it was over. And they do that in their books. I mean, any good author should leave you on a cliffhanger. and I'm really excited to see where it goes next. I love Amy and Jay. They just speak to me. There's an aspect of like childishness to the things, but I like it. Like, it's not childishness as in it's annoying. To me, it's childishness as in it's so fun. Like, it speaks to my nerdy side. I love it. I really do, and I can't wait for more. And I know that's not a lot of spoilers for it, but I mean, it's spaceships and there's a mystery and they gotta work together, and I don't know what else to tell you. Like, you know, squad books. It's a team, and I love team books. I love found family. I love each person's attributes. There's lots of good, like, chemistry between everybody. Like, there's a character who likes boys and girls, and he talks about them just the same, and it's really cute. Like, he will flirt with everyone, and not even just like in like you flirt with each other, but like straight up, like, he literally says about the twins, I would ride either of you. Like, he's just so, just like loves everyone, and I love that. I love that person. But yeah, I really like this. 4.25. I wish I could go higher, but it was just too much alike. And the book that it was a lot like was Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. Yes, I finished 2 Sanderson books in a month. They are very different, so it wasn't that. This was a 4.5 for me. This is about Spensa, who wants to become a pilot, a fighter pilot for the DDF or something. I forget, but her world's under attack and she wants to join. However, nobody wants her to join because her father used to be a fighter pilot and he betrayed his squad and ran away like a coward. And she doesn't believe that, but the world believes that, and she's fighting against her prejudices. And so she passed the test to get into flight school perfectly, but she's still rejected because of who she is. So one of her father's ex-wingmates, his name is Cobb, he's the teacher of one of the classes, of one of the flight school classes. And he says, I can teach you. You can join my class because the director can't stop me from doing that. But I can't guarantee you a ship. You might do this whole flight school and then they might never give you a ship. I can't promise you. And there's this defect that the government is trying to test in people. So part of the reason they allow her to join is that the director, who was also a flight mate of her father, both her teacher and the director, the commander, knew her father. And she wants to test Spensa to see if she has this defect that she believes is the reason her father ran away. There's a great mystery to this. Spensa was very hard for me to latch onto in the beginning, but she grew on me so much. She was so cranky, and like, I explained it to Murphy because this was our buddy read book for her Patreon group, that she felt like a character that would normally be a side character that you would read. So like, normally I feel that Jerkface, yes, there's a character who's called Jerkface. I won't explain any more about him. I feel like he would have normally been the leader of this story, and she would have been a side character that really pissed us off, right? Until they grew up a little bit. But it was so interesting to read this from the point of view of that person. I hope that makes sense. But I just mean, to me, she doesn't feel like someone who would normally be the first point of view character. And it was hard for me in the beginning, but then I really loved that. We also have an AI named Mbot, who's amazing. I love AIs. I love AIs. They speak to me. Evil AIs, good AIs, friend AIs, puppy dog AI. I'm into it. And Mbot is amazing. He's a spaceship that crashed and doesn't know how he got there, doesn't know who his previous owner was. But Spensa starts to put him back together with her and her friend, and it's really great. There's a war with the Krell in here. They're the ones who are always attacking, and they always attack with just enough people to keep them pinned down, and they don't know why. And so there's a mystery to that. There's a mystery to if her father was a coward, if he was, why, what made him do what he did, and this is great. The next one is called Starsight, and it comes out in November. I can't wait to read it. 4.5 stars for me. Brandon Sanderson, he's a winner chicken dinner like everybody says. I hope to get into Mistborn soon, but also I'm really looking forward to following this. Like, beautiful book, by the way, too. Had a great time. All right. Next up, I have 2 romances. First, we'll do The Duchess Deal. These are both 4.5s by Tessa Dare, because I bought Tessa Dare this month, and man, did I go all out. If you saw by my last book haul, I bought so many of them. So this one is about the Duke of Ashbury and Emma Gladstone. He makes a deal with a girl who shows up at his house in a wedding dress. The wedding dress that his former fiance was supposed to wear and never paid for. So she shows up in the dress to make a statement that she needs to be paid for her work because she spent months making this dress and then didn't get paid for it just because they didn't get married still. The Duke of Ashbury, he is scarred because of an injury, and that is why his fiance left him. And he wants to marry Emma because he needs to marry and have an heir. But he doesn't want there to be any lovey-dovey things. He doesn't want anyone to be confused. They will be husband and wife at night, and when she has a baby, he will provide her with a house and raise the child, and that's all he wants. Well, Emma and the people working in his house, by the way, don't agree, and they want him to fall in love with his wife. What else is there to say? This was great. This is a first in a trilogy. I also have the governess game I want to read soon. I just don't know when. But I always fit my historical romances in when I'm having a bad day, or else I'm pooped out on some of these other books, like I'm just overdone. I will just sit down and cozy up with one of these and make my way through. It was great. 4.5 stars. Loved it. Then I read Any Duchess Will Do by Tessa Dare, also 4.5. This is one of the Spindle Cove novels. This is actually number 4 on accident. I have since bought the 3 before that, but with historical romances, you usually don't have to read them in order. Like, it'll be fine. This one is about the Duke of Halford and Pauline. And Pauline is working at she's working at a restaurant, at a pub, whatever. And the Duke of Halford gets drugged by his mom and brought to Spindle Cove to pick a wife. And she says, you pick any woman in this building and I will make her a duchess. Well, he sees Pauline bussing tables and he says, okay, I want Pauline. And so he makes Pauline a deal that if she can fail at being a duchess, he will pay her so she can create a naughty bookstore. She wants to make a naughty bookstore in Spindle Cove. Oop. Truck going by, which I think is so cute. And so the mother starts to try to teach her how to be a duchess, and he really likes her, obviously, and doesn't know if he only wants them to be friends for a week. So yeah, it's cute. It's a romance. What do you want to do? It was a great setup because, yeah, the first chapter is him waking up drugged because his mom drugged him, which is bad. Don't drug your sons, everyone. But it was super cute. Then finally, my 1 5-star this month. I was getting kind of worried. Nothing was really like tipping into 5-star for me. And then I read Lovely War by Julie Berry, which I am going to film a dedicated review for. It's going to go up after, obviously. This will be out next week. Oh, guys, this book... Oh, I knew I would love it, and that's why I was afraid to read it, because any book that's about war, World War I, most guys didn't make it out of that, so I was scared. All right, the setup for this is we start with Aphrodite and Ares are having a love affair. Aphrodite's married to Hephaestus, who's the god of the forge, who like makes the weapons for Olympus and everything. And Hephaestus catches her and Ares about to make love, and he puts her on trial. To like prove herself innocent. And she says, okay, I don't believe that you can love me anyway, so why does it matter who I sleep with? So she says, I'm gonna tell you 2 stories about love and war and why we're meant to be together. And I'm not meant to be with you. Like, that's basically the setup. Weird setup. I was nervous because I was like, okay, I don't know what we're doing here. Well, Aphrodite asks him, would you want us to go to Olympus to have a trial, or do you just want to be the judge? And Ares is like, why are you letting him be the judge? He'll pick wrong. And she's like, no, I think my husband will choose right. And so Aphrodite chooses to tell the story of James and Hazel and Aubrey and Colette, 2 couples that meet during World War I that she helped along. As well as she asked the opinions of Hades, Ares, and Apollo along the way. And they each have interacted with these couples as well. And by interact, they don't talk with them. Sometimes they'll like kind of like come in the form of a person, but otherwise they're just kind of there like watching. And Aphrodite helps Hazel and James meet at a dance the week before he's getting shipped to the front. And they just have that movie style glance across the dance hall, and they dance and they have a great couple of days, and then he gets shipped off. And it's amazing. Like, she joins the YMCA, the entertainment corps, for helping soldiers stay motivated. And there Hazel meets Colette, who is a Belgian woman who lost her entire family at the start of the war, and as well as her boyfriend Stefan. She lost her mother, sister, father, brother. She lost everyone. And we meet Aubrey, who is an American ragtime player. He's an African American in one of the black units over there. And he's part of a band who, by day, they are laying railroad tracks and helping, and at night they play music for morale as well. And so Colette and Aubrey start a romance, and Aubrey is really nervous to love someone after what she's been through. And for Aubrey, it is dangerous to love a white woman over there. I mean, in a lot of places it was. So trigger warnings for a lot of racism and things like that. But this is a very wholesome book. There's no sexy times. There's no like graphic anything for it being a war book. It is just, but it's so romantic nonetheless. And I haven't read a book in a while where the romance, I was so into it without there being more to it. Like, I'll be honest, I like the sexy times. You know this. You know the books I read. I want to feel the passion. I want to see, you know, people being propelled by their romance. And this was beautiful. It was also really apropos. I read it over Memorial Day weekend. I think it really, I made some things sink home. I did cry, but this was a beautiful, beautiful story. I mean, like I said, I'm going to do a dedicated review to this book. It was great, and it was 5 stars for me. It's going to hurt you a little bit, all right? But you're going to be happy about it. So that is everything I read in the month of May. It was a great reading month. I had a great time. A little bit of a slower one, but when I look at how big a lot of these books were, I give myself a little bit of a break. Because last month I read 15 books, but I read a lot of short books. And look at my stack of 10 here, and it's pretty big. So, thank you so much for watching. I make new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you can watch some more of them right now. Bye.